Chapter 6. Inside the Legal System. A Battle on Two Fronts. When I first appeared in court, the charges against me were overwhelming. In the beginning, it felt like the walls were closing in on me. They hit me with 7 felony charges, including assault with intent to murder. The weight of it all was suffocating. I was looking at 40 years in prison, my life practically gone. I remember sitting there trying to wrap my head around the charges. Assault with intent to murder, assault with a dangerous weapon, 2 felony firearms charges for pointing a gun at 2 different people, reckless discharge of a firearm, and another assault with a dangerous weapon. Ironically, I was charged for using the weapon they brought to attack me with. But as time went on, things began to shift. Eventually, many of the charges were dropped. In the end, I was left with only 2 charges, and both were misdemeanors. I walked out of that courtroom without any felonies on my record. It felt surreal. We were fighting for a self-defense claim, but the truth is that self-defense doesn't even come into play unless you go to a jury trial. It's not something you can really argue until then. But going to trial costs money, and I didn't have the resources to push it that far. So self-defense? That just went out the window. Throughout most of it, I never even got to speak for myself. My lawyer advised me to stand mute. Literally, don't say anything, so that's what I did. At every hearing and every appearance, I kept my mouth shut. The same judge presided over many of those hearings, his stern demeanor making it clear that this was no place for personal pleas. Haig? I never even interacted with him. Fred always told me not to, so I stayed silent. The system was grinding me down, and all I could do was sit there, wordless, as they talked around me. The way they handled the investigation was a joke. They sent 1 person per department, which is just enough to say they covered it. For example, the state police detective didn't even bother with the basic protocols. No gunshot residue tests, no ballistics, nothing. And yet they wanted to call it a shooting. The transcripts from the court would prove it. They didn't do their job and didn't follow the procedures they were supposed to. It was like they were trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, trying to make the narrative fit, even though the evidence wasn't there. And yet they had the nerve to act like I was the one who was in the wrong from the start. The reality of it all hit hard, knowing that the system isn't designed to protect you unless you can afford it. Self-defense doesn't exist unless you can pay to prove it. Justice isn't guaranteed, it's a luxury. And sitting in that courtroom, watching them play their games, it all became crystal clear. I never thought my time in jail would turn into the nightmare it did. I was assaulted, plain and simple, and what really gets me is that everyone knew it happened. There was even video evidence. I remember the sheriff, the same guy who's all over my YouTube channel, who knew exactly what went down, telling me flat out there was footage, but no one did a damn thing. It was like they were protecting themselves, making sure the system worked in their favor. I tried to fight it. I really did. I wanted to file charges against the jail because, honestly, the guy who beat me up wasn't the problem. He was just another inmate, a product of the environment. The real issue was the jail and the people in charge. They let it happen. They watched it go down and did nothing to stop it. There were correctional officers who saw the whole thing. The assault was right there on the cameras, but they wouldn't let me press charges against the jail itself. All I could do was go after the inmate who was already on his way to prison anyway. What was the point? It's not like I wanted to snitch or anything. I know how things work inside. You don't press charges against another inmate unless you're asking for trouble. And the guy who did it wasn't the one to blame. It was the officers, the sergeant, the whole damn system. The sergeant, he even told me they had the video, but they still wouldn't allow me to file a grievance against the jail. It's like they've got this shield around them where they can do no wrong, no matter how badly they screw up. The system's rigged. These people in power, they smile for the public, throw candy at parades, act like they're all upstanding citizens. But behind the scenes, they're letting stuff like this happen every day. They're messing up people's lives, letting inmates rot in jail without admitting their own faults. And the worst part is, they walk away clean. Meanwhile, people like me have to deal with the consequences. I tried to get my lawyer to do something to bring the video to light, but the jail kept it locked down. They knew what it showed, and they weren't about to let it out. It's sickening. The whole system is designed to keep them safe while people like me are left to fend for themselves.